How you guys doing? Welcome back to Country Mash. I hope you guys have been awesome. Today, it's still summer, and it's still pretty hot outside. And it's still 2020, so I'm gonna review a cooler that hopefully can help you guys get away from it all. So we are continuing on with the outdoor gear reviews. You guys can see we have another cooler with us called the Nomad 24. This was sent to us by a company called Revelry Supply. And they do a lot of other like bags and cases and stuff like that. But when I happened to stumble across these guys online, I noticed that they make these soft coolers that closely resemble the soft coolers from Yeti. And I'm kind of a cooler guy. You guys might be picking that up by now. I like coolers, especially in the summertime. They're just so handy and so nice to be able to have ice cold drinks with you or go fishing and keep your worms cold, especially this time of year. But when I found them online, I saw how well built and how similar it was to the Yeti soft coolers. And this one really stood out to me. So I actually reached out to them and said, hey, you know, I got a channel. Would you guys want to send one out for me to review? And they much obliged. They were very nice, and they sent me this Nomad 24, and so I really put it through its paces, and I'm here to share with you guys my full honest review, as I usually do here on the Country Mash channel. At the end of the video, I will share with you guys my overall experience and the pros and the cons. But first, I want to share with you guys the specs and details of the cooler, and then I'll share with you guys my ice retention test, where I just throw some ice in it, let it sit in my backyard, and see how long it lasts. And then I'll go over at the end of the video my overall experience and some of the pros and cons, and if I think it's worth buying. But first, let's kick it off by going over some of those specs and details. So as mentioned earlier, this is the Nomad 24 from Revelry Supply. The 24 indicates that it can hold 24 canned beverages with ice, but it is actually a 20-liter cooler. It currently comes in two different colors. There's a light gray and blue, and then there's this green and orange. It's made out of a waterproof material that they don't go into much detail on the website about, but it seems very similar to the kind of material a whitewater raft would be made out of. And with this material, they use waterproof welded seams. So not only is it waterproof, but it's actually really heavy duty stuff. It does have a leak-proof zipper that's so leak-proof that it's actually airtight as well. And if I close the lid all the way, I can actually sit on the cooler without it collapsing. They use a thick closed cell insulation that has what they call a 24-hour cold lock. However, we are going to get into later my actual ice retention test to see how long it actually lasts. But 24 hours is pretty typical. They don't typically last as long as hard coolers would. One of the really cool features it has, besides the very comfortable shoulder strap, is it has really comfortable detachable backpack straps. So the fact that you can use it like a backpack, but you can also take them off if you don't want to use it that way. That was definitely one of my favorite features. On top, it has 4 cup holders, well, kind of cup holders. On each side, it does have mesh pockets. It does have a bottle opener, which I know everyone loves. And it also includes an extra bottle of zipper lube. If you guys aren't familiar with these kind of coolers, the zippers are so heavy duty to make sure that they are airtight and waterproof that occasionally they could be a little stiff and a little rough, and so that's when you're going to want to lube them up again. I personally have not had to lube mine up since I got this, but I know in time I will have to do it. So now for the ice retention test, I loaded this cooler up with only one 10-pound bag of ice, which was about halfway full. But I was trying to make it a little bit more realistic for soft cooler purposes. I know people load down their hard coolers for longer trips and stuff like that, but I feel like most people don't do that with their soft coolers. So I did halfway full with one 10-pound bag of ice, and then I left it in my backyard during an extremely hot week, and then I left it in an area that has some of the most sun in my backyard. So I know it's not the best conditions to test the cooler, but I was pretty curious to see how well this cooler would do. So let's just roll in the footage. Alright, so 24 hours in, let's see what we got. Alright, so we actually still have some ice left, which I'm actually very surprised because this is in the sun and it is hot. So we got a good amount of water in there, but pretty good ice chunk left. Let's see if we can make it 2 days. Alright, so just a update really quick. It's starting to, it looks like maybe delaminate from itself. Day 2, we still have ice in there. I am super surprised. I'm not sure if it's going to make it to day 3, so we'll see. So for a soft cooler to last that long, being half full of ice, it's a dark color, and it was in direct sun the whole time during a really hot week, I was really impressed. As far as soft cooler standards go, this cooler performed really well. So now let's go over some of those pros and cons and my overall experience and how it held up. So for the pros, the one thing that really stood out to me that made it just awesome to use was its weight to ice retention ratio. If that makes any sense. Usually to have something that does well as far as ice retention, you're gonna have like a hard cooler or something heavier or something like that. But the fact that this is so lightweight, but it's able to hold ice for as long as it does, just makes it really nice. It's so portable and it's just a joy to be able to bring around places. The second thing I really like is the price, which is $250. It performs just as well as some of the top dogs out there, but it is actually cheaper. I've also seen it go on sale a couple times this summer for about $200. One amazing trait that I discovered about this cooler is that it does not hold on to fish smell. We actually have used it for fishing on multiple occasions and just rinsing it out with some soapy water, and there was no smell left. I know some of you guys who don't fish might be asking yourself like, well, like obviously wouldn't the smell come out with soapy water in any cooler? That's not always necessarily the case. Sometimes that fish smell can really stick into some coolers no matter how much you clean it, so that was really cool. Something else I really like about it is the fact that it does float, even if it's not closed all the way, and just the fact that it's lightweight and it has foam insulation, just inherently it makes the entire cooler float, which we purposely tested. Purposely. Luckily we did not lose the cooler, and luckily it floats. And then the last thing I want to note, just one of the things I really like about it is heavy duty. The fact that it is a soft cooler and it's lightweight, it's portable, and easy to move around and toss around. But at the same time, it's heavy duty. So the materials that they used, the craftsmanship and the quality of the construction, it's just built really well. And so I'm not too worried about damaging it. I think this cooler is going to last a really long time. So what are some of those problems that I ran into with this cooler? Well, the only issue I actually had with it was it started to delaminate on top of the lid when I had left it in the direct sunlight for the ice retention test. Now, it doesn't really ruin the cooler. There's no problems with it. It didn't fall apart or anything, but you guys can see it does look a little bit loose on top now. It's a little bubbling. Despite that happening, I think it held up great and it performed really well. So the only other con I could really give you guys is the fact that while it did perform really well for a soft cooler, it's still a soft cooler. So it's not going to perform as well as hard coolers, though there's a tons of other trade-offs you're going to get with that, like weight and stuff like that. So just know that it's not a hard cooler and it's not going to last you like, days on end. So that pretty much wraps up my review of the Nomad 24 from Revelry Supply. If you guys are interested in this cooler, I will leave links down in the description box below. If you guys found this video helpful, if you enjoyed it or just found it entertaining at the very least, go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel. You guys seriously rock. I love all of you guys. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.